It is 7:30 and we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest Act on This live video broadcast. For those who don't know me, my name is Ross, and tonight I am joined by an incredibly special guest. We've had some amazing guests over the last 2 months on these broadcasts, but I'm particularly excited about our guest tonight. You'll know him from loads of amazing projects, film, TV, things such as, most recently, the Harry Potter films, Ricky Gervais's Extras, Doctor Who, and of course his own show with Ricky Gervais and Steve Merchant, Life's Too Short. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Mr. Warwick Davis. Warwick, welcome.
Wow. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks so much for joining us. Warwick, literally like 2 months ago, you did an audiobook recording at my voiceover agents, and I missed you by 5 minutes. Since then, I've been stalking you through Ollie, your assistant, so thanks so much for giving up your time tonight to do this.
Yeah, I'm sorry you missed me on that day. I actually saw you coming and darting out the back door.
I knew you did. Laura said that. No, honestly, don't worry, right? They phoned me, literally, and said, right, the session's running half an hour over, can you, like, stay away? Because normally I'd go in. But I'm sure that's what they thought. They thought, he's just trouble. He's just going to harass him. So, anyway, yeah, thanks so much for doing this. The structure of these broadcasts, guys, for those who are watching, if you're watching this live on the Act on This website, you will see just above me a Twitter button. These are 100% interactive and live interviews, and they're brilliant if you guys get involved. People have already started getting involved, and Warwick, I've got sheets and sheets and sheets. Literally, we're not going to get through it all tonight. I must have like 10 sheets of questions already, and people are going to be asking us questions live, but we're going to hammer through as much as we can. For those who are watching, just start tweeting at Act on This TV now, just so that I know that we are coming through loud and clear and that everything is working properly. Whilst they do that, Warwick, everyone who comes on and acts on this broadcast gets a £100 charity donation to say thank you for spending your time with us. You're giving your donation to Little People UK, which is a charity that you set up yourself. Tell us about that and how the money will help.
Well, Little People UK is a nationwide charity that helps people and their families who are affected by dwarfism, which is a condition that I have. There are over 250 types of dwarfism recognised, and it's basically a charity to help people in all aspects of their lives, be it social, be it help with sort of medical needs, connecting them with the right doctors for their condition. And actually, my wife is the chairperson of the charity. Both her and I and a few other like-minded individuals founded the charity a few years ago, and it just goes from strength to strength. And it's really so worthwhile just helping people out, because some people with dwarfism can become quite isolated and really cut off from society. So hopefully they'll reach out to groups like Little People UK, and they can certainly be helped, even if it's just to talk to somebody who kind of thinks and feels the way that they do, and just helps them realise that they're not alone in those feelings, and that can be all they need to kind of help boost their confidence and get them out there and helping themselves, really, which is ultimately what we want to encourage people to do.
Amazing. Well, no, it's an absolute honour to to donate that money. I'll send that across.
Thank you for that.
It's all right. Absolute pleasure. I'll send that across straight after this broadcast, so that you guys will get that, and hopefully you can put it to some good use. Fantastic. Well, I've just checked Twitter. We are coming through loud and clear, because people are sending us messages. So a big hello to Eric, Peter, Charlie, Patricia. Everyone's saying yeah.
Hello, Eric, Peter, Charlie, Patricia, Frank,
everything's sounding good.
Norman.
Everybody,
Terry.
literally. Hundreds all coming through. Terry, John, Dave, Bill. Fantastic. So, Warwick, whilst these tweets are coming through now and people are getting their questions in, you've probably been asked all this stuff hundreds of times before, and I don't want to be all cliche with these kind of actors interviews going, oh, how did you get into acting and all that kind of thing, but I will ask you, because I think your story is a little bit different to everybody else. People get into acting for various reasons, and in lots of different ways. Not many people, though, get into the acting industry with a role in a Star Wars film. That happened for you when you were just 11 years old. Just while people are tweeting, just give us a little bit of background on that and how this all started for you.
Okay. Well, I was at school, 11 years old, but I was a Star Wars fan. That's pretty important. I mean, Star Wars had a huge impact on me when I was 7, when I first saw it. And then, of course, excited about Empire Strikes Back, and then my grandmother happened to be listening to the radio, and Lucasfilm put out an announcement looking for short people to be in Star Wars, the new installment of the movie they were making, and she obviously realised that I was a huge fan of Star Wars and that I was short, being my grandmother, And she told my mum about this announcement. So my mum phoned up the studios, and they said, well, we've got everyone we need. We were inundated with calls, so there's no need to worry. She must have told them I was a huge fan of the films. And then she told them that I was only 11, and they started thinking about, well, perhaps, you know, the characters that they were casting, Ewoks, perhaps they could be younger ones as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they said, well, we'll meet Warwick. So I went up to the studios, Elstree Studios in London, which is now the studios where they film Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Big Brother.
Okay.
I went up to the studios, and I didn't have to audition. I simply met with a production assistant who said to me, do you like Star Wars? And I went, yeah. And she said, do you want to play an Ewok? And I said, well, what's one of those? And she said, well, go find out, because you're going to be working on the film in 2 weeks. And that was it. That's how I got started.
Wow.
It's an amazing place to start an acting career, because you know, you're kind of pretty high up the ladder before you've even, you know, done anything.
Yeah.
And you know, fortunately, kind of my career kind of continued at that sort of level. It didn't sort of drop down, you know, too far.
Well, this is what I want to talk to you about. I mean, it is amazing, literally, like, you know, going straight in at that kind of level. And initially, you know, kind of like the role of the Ewok that you were going to play wasn't, you know, a particularly large role, but then you kind of got upgraded because Kenny Baker was ill and he was going to play Wicket, wasn't he? Is that true? Is that what happened?
And then that is what happened. Yeah, people think that, you know, I sort of snuck a little something into his dinner and poisoned him, but I didn't. He did get food poisoning, and he was originally playing, you know, the lead Ewok, and I think there are some early call sheets actually with Kenny Baker and the character named Wicket. Yeah, he got ill while we were filming in America, and David Tomlin, who was the first assistant director, so he's the guy that kind of is the director's right-hand man, who makes sure everyone's where they need to be when he needs them, and will be in charge of calling in the actors for particular scenes. So when Kenny called in sick, David, who, you know, we'd become quite friendly with, especially my parents had as well, called me up and said, well, let's get Warwick in to replace him. And that was it. So from that moment on, I became known as Wicket, and Kenny became known as Paplu, and the rest is history, kind of thing. Because then, yeah, we did the scene, and I just did what I did. I mean, I can't remember thinking about anything in particular, other than I realised that when my pet dog kind of hears a strange noise, he does that, and I thought it was quite endearing, and then applied that to the character of the Ewok that I was playing, and also I had the ability to get my own tongue in between Wicket's teeth. So when you watch the film and you see that little tongue, it's not an animatronic or anything like that. It's literally my tongue poking out. But it brought the face to life, which, you know, was inanimate really. There was no movement in the Ewok face at all. So it was all about body language and portraying the emotion, you know, in other ways.
It's unbelievable. I mean, and at that age of 11, I mean, was it kind of like, I want to do this because I'm a massive fan of Star Wars, or had you thought of, you know, kind of acting and stuff before that? Did you know right then that that was what you were going to do forever at that point?
No, I didn't. I mean, I never remember having a moment where I sat down and thought, now I want to be an actor. It was a career that discovered me, and one that I'm still doing 33 years later, and sort of can't quite figure out how it happened. It's a very strange thing. You know, I'd like to say that I had ambitions to be an actor, you know, when I was growing up, and I suppose, you know, being shorter than all of my friends at school made me have a slightly larger than life personality, you know, because otherwise you would get left out. So I was a bit louder, and I was a bit funnier, and I just had a bigger personality than anyone else, and that sort of developed over a number of years, you know, when I was growing up. Not literally, and it lent itself very well to becoming a performer. So I was doing my training without realizing it, basically.
So it's best training, isn't it, on the job, you know, as opposed to, you know, all of us go to drama school.
I mean, all through my career, I've realized that you know, each job you go on to, you're actually learning from the other actors. You watch their techniques and the way that they do things, and it's never a craft that you will perfect, I don't believe. You know, It's always something you can learn from the last job you did, and